February 1st, 2026, 2 a.m. An 84-year-old mother's pacemaker sent its last signal. Then silence, then darkness, then she never came home. February 26th, 2026, Tucson, Arizona, 11:47 p.m. A 54-year-old woman sits alone in her childhood bedroom, staring at her phone. On the screen is a photograph of her mother, an 84-year-old woman with kind eyes and silver hair, smiling at a family dinner just weeks ago. That dinner was the last time anyone saw her alive. Her name is Savannah Guthrie. Millions know her as the co-anchor of NBC's Today Show. But tonight, she is not a television personality. She is a daughter who has just uploaded yet another video to Instagram, begging for information that might bring her mother home. We know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. The words hang in the air. A mother may already be gone, and no one knows where or why or who took her. This is the story of Nancy Guthrie. It is a story of a quiet desert night shattered by evil. A story of ransom notes demanding millions in crypto. A story of a family's desperate fight against time, against silence, against the growing fear that the woman who raised them may never come home. It is also a story that has captivated America, not because of celebrity, but because of humanity. Because every one of us has a mother, and every one of us can imagine the horror of her vanishing in the night. Part 2. The Last Goodbye. January 31st, 2026, Tucson, Arizona, 9:30 p.m. The Sonoran Desert stretches for miles around this quiet city, its famous saguaro cacti standing like silent sentinels in the moonlight. In the Catalina foothills neighborhood, an 84-year-old woman finishes a pleasant evening with her family. Nancy Guthrie has just had dinner with her children. Her daughter Annie's home is nearby, close enough that the family often gathers together. Tonight was warm, loving, normal. The kind of evening you don't think twice about because nothing ever happens here. Nothing ever happens in the Catalina foothills. Nancy's family drops her off at her one-story home, a secluded house framed by the iconic desert landscape. She waves goodbye. They drive away. It is the last time anyone who loves her will see her face. That night, Nancy Guthrie prepared for bed like any other night. She was 84 years old, but according to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, she was sharp as a tack. She lived alone, independently, with no cognitive issues that would cause concern, but she was physically frail. She took daily medication that was critical for her health. Being without it, authorities would later warn, could be fatal. She also had a pacemaker, small device implanted in her chest that kept her heart beating in a regular rhythm. It was connected to an app on her iPhone via Bluetooth, allowing her doctors to monitor her heart remotely. At approximately 2 a.m. on February 1st, that pacemaker stopped communicating with her phone. The phone itself remained in the house. The connection was severed. And somewhere in those dark hours, Nancy Guthrie vanished. February 1st, 2026, 10 a.m. Nancy Guthrie is not at church. Her absence is noticed by her congregation. Her children rush to her home. What they find chills them to the bone. Their mother is gone. Belongings scattered. Signs of forced entry. Traces of blood were found, later confirmed to be Nancy's. The doorbell camera was tampered with. Disconnected at 1:47 a.m. A person detected at 2:12 a.m., but no video. Someone ensured no one would see. The family calls 911. The Pima County Sheriff's Department and FBI join. Sheriff Chris Nanos stated Nancy, despite being sharp, had limited mobility. She was taken against her will, kidnapped from her own home in the middle of the night while the desert slept. No proof of life has surfaced, nor any proof of death. Nancy Guthrie is out there somewhere. Or she isn't. That night, Savannah couldn't sleep. She sat in her childhood bedroom, where her mother used to tuck her in. She looked at an old photograph from 1982. Her mother brushing her hair. Who will brush my mother's hair now? 9 days later, February 10th, 2026. The FBI and Sheriff's Department make a dramatic announcement. They recovered surveillance footage from Nancy Guthrie's front door camera, thought to be lost forever. Investigators worked with partners to recover residual data. What they found would define this case. A masked figure, a gun, a cold, calculated approach in the dead of night. The black and white video is grainy, eerie, and deeply disturbing. It shows an individual approaching Nancy Guthrie's front door in the early morning hours of February 1st. The person wears a zip-up jacket, long pants, gloves, and a mask covering the face. On their back is a 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack. On their waistband, a holstered gun is clearly visible. The individual cups the camera with their hands, blocking the view for several seconds. They step outside the entryway, pull up some plants, and then push them against the camera lens. This is not a crime of passion. This is planning. This is premeditation. When Savannah first saw this footage, her hands began to shake. She called her brother Cameron and said only one thing: "This is him. This is the man." On February 12th, the FBI Phoenix field office released the first official physical description of the suspect. The suspect is a male, approximately 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall, with an average build. The backpack was identified as a specific brand and model, the Ozark Trail Hiker Pack, 25-liter capacity. The FBI released multiple photographs of the backpack from different angles, hoping someone would recognize it. We hope this updated description will help concentrate the public tips we are receiving, the FBI statement read. The public responded. In the 24 hours after the footage was released, the FBI received more than 4,000 tips. Within 2 weeks, according to an FBI source, the total exceeded 13,000, but none of them led to Nancy Guthrie. Days after the suspect description was released, investigators made another discovery. A pair of black gloves was found during the search. On February 15th, authorities announced that DNA obtained from one of the gloves matched the pair worn by the masked individual. It was the first concrete forensic link between that person and the crime scene. But without anyone in custody, the DNA is just evidence waiting for a name. Part 4. The Ransom. 3 notes, 3 demands, 3 mysteries. Note number 1, sent to KGUN on February 8th, $6 million in Bitcoin. Deadline, Monday 5 p.m. Warning, if the deadline was not met, the consequences would be consequential. Note number 2, sent to TMZ on February 9th, $4 million. The same Bitcoin address, the same tone, the same threat. Note number 3, received by TMZ on February 10th. Different, someone claiming to know who the kidnapper is. Demanding 1 Bitcoin, approximately $56,000 at the time, for information. The sender claimed they had tried to contact Savannah's sister Annie and brother Cameron, without success. Harvey Levin of TMZ told Fox News on February 10th, an hour and a half ago. "We got a bizarre email from somebody who says they know the kidnapper. They demand 1 Bitcoin sent to an active address. It's a real Bitcoin address, confirmed by our sources." Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker was highly skeptical. He told Fox News, "I don't think anything TMZ has brought forward has panned out." He added, "It's a good vehicle for people to do this, but I sense a scam here." The Bitcoin address was real. On February 10th, KGUN reported activity in that account, a transaction of less than $300. Someone was watching. Someone was waiting. But waiting for what? On February 10th, surveillance footage was released. Authorities made a traffic stop south of Tucson. A man was detained. His home in Rio Rico was searched. Media speculated, had the suspect been caught? Hours later, the man was released. Identified as Carlos Palazuelos, he stated he did not know Nancy Guthrie. Another dead end. Another hope extinguished. Part 5. The family, we will never give up on her. Savannah Guthrie fought for her mother. She rushed to Tucson, abandoning professional obligations. She cancelled hosting the Winter Olympics opening ceremony. Her co-host Craig Melvin remained stateside in solidarity. Her world narrowed to one goal: finding her mother. On February 7th, Savannah posted her first video addressing the unknown abductor directly. She and her siblings indicated they were willing to pay a ransom. On February 9th, she posted again, this time addressing supporters, not the kidnapper. As we enter into another week of this nightmare, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mum has felt. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find where she was taken, and we don't know where. We believe our mum is still out there. We need your help. On February 10th, she shared images with a simple plea. We believe she is still alive. Bring her home. On February 13th, she shared a vintage home video of her mother with 2 children, sharing pink flowers. Her caption read, "We will never give up on her. Thank you for your prayers and hope." Savannah was not alone in this fight. Her brother Cameron and sister Annie stood with her, united in their desperation. Annie lives nearby her home, is close enough that investigators would later search it. Emerging with a paper grocery sack and a white trash bag, evidence of their relentless pursuit of answers. A neighbor, Ann Adams, described the scene to the Associated Press on February 15th. They did ask specifically for the 31st of January and the morning of the 1st of February. And then they wanted to know if we saw anything suspicious on cameras since then. The Guthrie family, Sheriff Nanos, emphasized during a press conference on February 12th, are not suspects, they are victims. As the weeks passed without answers, the family took an extraordinary step. They announced their own reward, $1 million for information leading to their mother's recovery. The FBI, meanwhile, doubled its reward from $50,000 to $100,000. The family's reward brought in 1,500 new tips in the days after it was announced. Each tip was investigated. Each tip led nowhere. In the midst of the nightmare, a surprising moment of humanity. President Donald Trump called Savannah Guthrie. A White House official confirmed the call on February 18th. NBC later reported that Guthrie thanked the president, telling him her family was devastated and needs prayers. Trump assured her that every federal resource was available as needed. At an Oval Office event on February 19th, Trump expressed sympathy. "I always got along very good with Savannah. Very unusual situation, but we're going to find out." The call did nothing to advance the investigation, but for a family drowning in uncertainty, the acknowledgement mattered. From the earliest days of the investigation, the blood found at Nancy Guthrie's home told a grim story. On February 15th, DNA tests confirmed what investigators suspected. The blood belonged to Nancy Guthrie. The confirmation raised more questions than it answered. Was she injured during the abduction? Was the violence a warning, or was it something worse? Perhaps the most crucial piece of evidence in the case was the one Nancy Guthrie carried inside her chest. Her pacemaker last communicated with her iPhone at approximately 2:00 a.m. on February 1st. The phone itself was left behind in the house. This data provided investigators with a critical piece of the timeline. Whatever happened to Nancy Guthrie happened around that hour. The connection was severed either because she was moved out of range or because something more permanent interrupted the signal. The sheriff's department asked residents within a 2-mile radius of Guthrie's home to share surveillance camera footage. They were looking for anything in any car, any person, any anomaly that might explain who was watching, who was waiting, who was planning. On February 26th, a new piece of footage emerged. A doorbell camera from a house 2.5 miles away captured activity. Less than 10 minutes after Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker was disconnected, the footage showed about a dozen cars driving by. Investigators were reviewing it, looking for any connection to the case. It was a small thread in a vast tapestry of evidence, but sometimes small threads lead to answers. Throughout February, investigators fanned out across the desert landscape. FBI agents walked among rocks and vegetation. They knocked on doors. They searched through brush and boulders. The Pima County Sheriff's Department established a tip line QR code. The FBI received more than 13,000 tips. Each one was logged. Each one was investigated. Each one, so far, led nowhere. On February 26th, a troubling development. The FBI announced it was reducing the number of agents in Tucson and moving its command post to the Phoenix field office. To the public, this looked like giving up. Former FBI Special Agent Michael Harrigan explained otherwise to News Nation on February 27th. This doesn't mean that investigators are giving up or the case is cold. They can do the same work remotely. Once most of the evidence is collected and the neighborhood canvassed, the lack of new information doesn't mean this case isn't being worked. Feverishly behind the scenes, the words offered little comfort to a family waiting for news. As February drew to a close, an expert offered a devastating assessment. Michael Gould told the Mirror US on February 25th, Nancy Guthrie's case was most likely a recovery mission rather than a rescue at this stage. Sadly, my assessment is that Nancy likely died within the first 72 hours and will ultimately be recovered. Recovery doesn't bring closure, simply removes the uncertainty of not knowing where she is. Gould offered a grim prediction. Victims of abductions are frequently found within 2 to 5 miles. Nancy's body might be found close to home. This was not what the family wanted to hear, but it may have been the truth they had to face. On February 26th, Savannah Guthrie posted a heartbreaking video. Fighting back tears, she spoke of her fears. She acknowledged what her family had been afraid to say. We know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. The words hung in the air. A daughter preparing for the worst. A family bracing for grief. As of this recording, Nancy Guthrie's case remains unsolved. Questions pile higher with each passing day. Who is the masked individual in the footage? Why target an 84-year-old woman? Were the ransom notes real or cruel hoaxes designed to torment a grieving family? Where is Nancy Guthrie? Is she alive? Is she dead? Will anyone ever know the truth? The FBI investigates. The family hopes. The public watches. The truth waits to be found. Savannah's message to the abductor: we don't know who you are or why you did this, but we know one thing. She is 84 years old. She is someone's mother, someone's grandmother. She has lived a life full of love. Let her live the rest of it with us. Whatever you need, whatever you want, just tell us. No questions, no judgment. Just bring her home. 31 days have passed. 744 hours, 44,640 minutes. And still, no one knows if Nancy Guthrie is alive or dead. Savannah wakes up every morning and looks at her mother's photograph. That photograph sits on her dining table. Next to it is a cup of tea. A fresh cup every day. A fresh weight every day. Police say, any tip, no matter how small, tell us. The family says, $1 million reward. But the most important thing Savannah says is this: just bring her home. Whatever condition she's in, just bring her home. On January 31st, 2026, Nancy Guthrie sat down to dinner with her children. She laughed, she talked, she enjoyed a normal evening. By the next morning, she had vanished. Her daughter, a woman watched by millions every morning, became a different kind of public figure. Not a television host, but a daughter begging for information, a daughter preparing for the worst, a daughter who, like any of us would, refused to give up hope. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She is someone's mother. She is someone's grandmother. She is someone who deserves to come home. And until she does, this case remains open. This mystery remains unsolved, and this family remains broken. Subscribe for more unsolved mysteries. Hit the bell icon. Thanks for watching Dark Evidence.